Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Sorry about the delay. I do have my co-host behind me, and of course, all of you are the co-hosts on this show as we talk about all things tabletop role-playing games, and especially on a Friday, this being Future Friday. So, we are going to talk about Obsidian Star. We're going to talk about science fiction role-playing games, and more specifically, and I'm going to show off some concept art and talk about minds and bodies, zippers and jackets, and what it means for a society and a post-human civilization living in our own solar system amongst the planets and moons and habitats, and how to navigate that when it comes to both the society and when making a character. So, and of course, we're going to show off some concept art just to get some visuals and excite all of you. But first, before we do all of that, I will say that once I set up this artwork here, I will say that when it comes to posthumanism and science fiction, many times it's very difficult to get across not only just the concepts, but to get across the idea of how do the players interact with the world. Making characters is a big thing in tabletop role-playing games. So how do you make a character? And then after you even do such a thing, yeah, I'm never on time. Yeah, and normally what ends up happening is I'm a very seat of the pants kind of person. I mean, when it comes to to getting on air, right? And I try to be very organic when it comes to things, and unfortunately technology doesn't allow for that very often. Thanks Restream for basically resetting all of my settings. That's bizarre. I don't really understand why they did that. Maybe this is better, a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, first of all, this isn't going to be art if there ever is a book. This is all AI art, but I need some concepts, and I needed to arrive at like a visual language, if you will. And oh nope, wrong way. And also to encompass like where would players be, what would they do, and as an individual that doesn't often see, I guess more now than in the past, doesn't often see very many cultures and body types and things like that in science fiction. I was like, there has to be some. Now, like I said, you'll be able to see the AI artifacts in the background. Like I said, it's not the purpose is not to take other people's, how art and literature scrapes is not a purpose of doing that. But I'm a very visual individual, and just thought I would find some things here. So just to give you a visual idea as I page through this and start talking about it. So one of the unfortunate side effects of posthumanism in this aspect is that we would think that if humans could live in the bodies that they chose and that they desire, there wouldn't be much. We would think that it would be a utopia, okay? And in many ways, there are people living in the system that are living their best life. Unfortunately, while looks and appearances and things like that may be presentable to the people that you're around, unfortunately humans have the capacity to dislike other people for making their choices. And so in a high-tech society, when people have access to the ability to choose to live the way they live and be who they are judged by their choice. So similar to prejudices today, where people don't really have the choice in who their parents are, where they're born, and whatnot, in this society, you can actually choose those things. You can choose modifications to your body. You can even choose editing to your mind. You can choose to live with or not live with traumas that you have experienced. You can choose to live in a biological or mechanical body adapted to various habitats or planetary systems or deep space and whatnot. And that choice rationalizes other people's choices in terms of how they act towards you. Like, why would you live in a mechanical body? Don't you know that you're leaving behind humans and humanity and things like that? You're going to lose your humanity. You're choosing that for yourself and maybe your family. Whereas the mechanical people are thinking like, wouldn't you're just meat. You have a limited lifespan. You are someone who is choosing to live the old way when we are moving out into the new realm and the new way of life further out into space and beyond. Wouldn't you want to live in a body that can last, a few hundred, a few thousand, a few tens of thousands of years, rather than your you know very fragile meat body that we all know has can only be enhanced so much before it starts to decompose and whatnot. Every moment of life is creeping towards death, as some people have pointed out. And there may be a desire to not be that way, but to be more posthuman, transhuman. And so, unfortunately, in this new society, there is prejudices still exist. Now, the other thing is affecting society in terms of minds and bodies, especially with minds, is that sometimes people's traumas in this world are not given the credit and the respect and the honor that it deserves, people's experiences and things of that nature. And the reason for that is because it's very easy technologically to edit minds, to edit memories, to reverse engineer an experience by going backwards, simply because you could take a memory and look at it from a outsider's point of view, because a recording of all your experiences is happening because of the zipper, the zip drive, the black box in the back of your brain. And so it's very easy for people to go back and instead of us speculating on your memory, we could actually go back and say, no, really, this is exactly the thing that you said, and how you reacted and what your body was reacting to. You can't really tell emotions, but it can tell biological functions. If you were panicked or sad or tired or something like that, they can tell what your biological state was at that very moment. And it's very clinical and editable. And when you're trying to argue the point that, hey, listen, I get all the technology, but to be honest with you, this is how it affected me, there can be an eye roll in this society, and that's horrible. And so some people's experiences, they want to keep those scars, those memories. I think are they called engrams or something? No, I will not wear that jacket for 10,000 years. Yeah, I mean, well, that's right. There's the other people who would like to change their bodies as they see fit, which also brings up an issue of, let's bring it in today's world. There are many people who suffer from dysmorphia. They feel like they are born in the body that they are. I'm going to use the word uncomfortable, but that's me making a very mild statement about a very traumatic event. But there are people who wish they were not in the bodies that they were, but they were born this way, and seek to change their body. Unfortunately, in this high technological world, because that's available to people who are suffering trauma, it's also available to people who want to have fun and have the money and privilege to be able to switch bodies when they want to, which is another which can also be looked at as a little bit of another disrespect. I mean, there are one of the things about vacationing, and this was, what was the movie? Total Recall. Yeah. Hey Arnie, you can go anywhere you want on vacation, but you know the one commonality? It's always you. You're always you wherever you go. But what if you weren't you? And so, yeah, you could have a frat party where a bunch of dudes decide to slip into other jackets for the evening or the weekend or whatever, and party till they're, you know, till they what's the term? They ride the bodies dry and put them away wet. I think that's the term about driving a car like you stole it and stuff like that. Yeah. So the torture of immortality must play a role here. Have you got dementia points in addition to sanity points in the game? Not necessarily like points. I'm going to do a carrot versus stick. A stick is you receive some kind of penalty and you have to role play out or use some points as a penalty for your character. And I want to make the baggage system a carrot to encourage people to play out the things that are horrible in their life, the physical, the mental, the social downside, and make it a carrot. Like, if you do this thing, you get some. Powered by the Apocalypse has a. I bring it up a lot because it's a game that encourages you to have an interesting life. Various iterations of Powered by the Apocalypse games are like, okay, the game is not about you winning, it's about you leading an interesting life, and so therefore we're going to complicate your life. And a lot of downsides like dementia points, sanity, things like that are those features in games where the players are like, look, I don't want this to happen to my character, but the game wants me to interact with it. And one of the downsides to games like Call of Cthulhu, which is notorious and famous for its maybe your character won't physically die, but you'll go insane. Some players just rub against that, just don't want to play that, because the game is basically telling you, guess what, you're going insane and you must play your character this way. And I'm trying to figure out a way, an incentive. I have an idea to make it an incentive for players to want to engage in that. And there's a couple methods to it. One method would be, if you play the downside, you get some kind of benefit on for something else. So you get a negative for portraying it, then you get a positive somewhere else, and it would be like a bonus point or recovery of something, a bonus die or whatever that you could save. And I think I'm going to go with that method. And but I don't want it to be fiddly, where like players are mod hunting. It's like, oh, I'm just pulling this out of my ass, I'm going to play up my alcoholism again and again and again and again. Like, I don't want it to be spammed, because then that can get very annoying. There are some games where like where that happens and players are just like, oh god, please stop, please don't keep doing that. But yeah, so, and it does bring, I mean, okay, there is no overriding society within the system. I want to portray it like the Wild West, or maybe more like the Age of Exploration during our olden days, so that when the players go to different habitats and when the players go to different planets and different moons, they may be coming into a situation that is very different from their own upbringing, their own ideas. Star Trek is very, very famous for this, right? Where I mean, most notoriously, not all the Star Trek franchises, but in general, it's a crew of people that we're comfortable with who come from a utopic society, no problems, and then they always go to a new place, and that new place they have to navigate how to deal with that new place, and I want that to be part of the concept of the system, where you know, within our own solar system, with almost 300 moons, you know, a handful and a half of planets, and probably dozens, if not hundreds, of space habs, that all of those places will be different, just by virtue of being separated for quite some time. And so when the players arrive, sure, amongst your crew, nobody minds you, you know, living in that mechanical body, but you may come to a hab where they have draconian laws or prejudices or iconography or limitations or rules, or it might be the opposite. You might be looked at as an icon, or you might get some like sycophantic, people coming up to you for drawing attention to yourself, that other people that you might not want attention drawn to yourself. But hey, you're a mechanical person and we love you here, and things like that. Maybe the laws are different. You've suffered some kind of loss, and in a normal court, they go, hey, we're going to punish that offender. But in this world, they may say, we'll just, don't worry about it. We have, we use public technology to just delete the trauma that you suffered, and it'll be as if it never happened. And you're like, yeah, you could delete the memory, but that didn't mean the thing didn't happen. And they might make the argument that, well, we need to live how we survive as a normal society is we delete that part of the brain from the criminal, we delete the trauma from you, and we're done. So, I don't know. Place your deposit here. I do not go insane. I went there long ago. Yeah, it's like, no, I'm not visiting. What's the, there was a commercial. It was like, I'm not just a salesman, I'm a client. I think it was for like hair loss or something like that. And it's like, yeah, insanity. I'm not just here temporarily, I'm a permanent resident. I love it. I love it a lot. And let's remember, with the ability to modify brains and high technology, I really would like to and I know this is, I'm going to do air quotes, problematic, right? But I would love to see like a space hab that embraces neurodivergency as an asset because of this world and whatnot. We know for a fact that there are neurodivergent people in our own world that are like savants when it comes to certain when it comes to math and music and organizational skills and things of that nature. And to make what today some people call limitations, and have a hab where they like not only encourage it, but have those individuals are above and beyond in the roles that they play, and maybe even sending out agents to go to other space habs to rescue, recruit, to bring those people into the fold. And I think that's where some of the conflict will come in. I mean, this thing, listen, we had here in the United States, we do have and we are going through, and we're still living through our new political system. But if you ask many people, residents here in the United States, and of course around the world, if you could live in a world shaped by the way you would like to live, politically, socially, economically, artistically, what would that look like? And you didn't have to worry about being questioned from the outside. That would be pretty wild. I think we'd have some pretty damn wild habitats. There'd be a whole bunch of manospheres orbiting planets, if you think about it, right? A whole bunch of Amazonian places as well, right? I mean, just that, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, many of the logic-based, pragmatic places of science and whatnot, uh, all the all the free thinkers that don't have rules, the anarchy that would take place, it'd just be kind of cool. You can, if you take a look at some of this art, this yes, it is concept AI art. If you take a look at it, you can almost tell what prompts I put in, and because when I go from here to here, you can see like the pirate hats and whatnot. It was a little bit, sometimes you put in a prompt. I'm not very good at prompting AI search parameters and things like that for any reason, but it is kind of funny. Like you put in a prompt and they take, a lot of times these AI systems take you literally, because they're just very advanced search emulators and whatnot, language emulators, and it's pretty funny. I mean, they even tried to put in this smudged up skull on the tricorn hat and whatnot. But like I said, I've just been holding this off to the side. And of course, you have to have your U.S. flag on like all the patches and things like that, even if they're smudged up and whatnot. And it's like, anytime you put like space travel or whatnot. As a matter of fact, just off the top of my head, what are astronauts called from around the world? I know there's cosmonauts and taikonauts. I don't know of any other names of astronauts. Always the bubble helmets too. I think the bubble helmet thing comes from, there's a lot of older, what's it called, space opera art, and in science fiction you got to see they really want you to see the actors' faces, and so a lot of times you'll see like the bubble helmet, and then of course in reality we have ourselves little bubble helmets and whatnot. But all right, jackets. Going back to the jacket idea here, it's that the access to having a different body in space. And mind you, this isn't going to be, if any of you are familiar with Altered Carbon or Eclipse Phase, that as players, you're probably going to have more access to different jackets depending on where your mind arrives at, as opposed to traveling through deep space. But in my iteration of Obsidian Star, there will be more physical transportation, traveling from space hab to space hab, planet to planet, in meat space, more than just having your brain beamed from place to place. Not that it won't happen, but it'll be a little bit more common for traveling through meat space, and therefore you're going to be in your body, your jacket, more often than it would, say, in Altered Carbon or Eclipse Phase. In Eclipse Phase, they don't even have a space battle travel system, which some people dinged, but I was like, actually the game doesn't really need it. It wasn't really even necessary to have it. And if you ever take a look at the rules in the game, the game world, you understand, like, well, you really don't need even spaceships if you're just digital information that just gets beamed at the speed of light from place to place. Getting ego cast, which is you cast your brain, or broadcast, it's called ego casting. You broadcast the digital information in your brain from one hab to another, one planet or moon to another space hab or something, and you arrive there in a new body. You're going to get there a whole lot faster than someone trying to accelerate their starship, which brings up another thing about constant acceleration, that and how long it takes to get from place to place, and why it's difficult to slow down and whatnot. Good. Tall and lanky. It's very strange to have like a Victorian always a tall and lanky look. We're trying to think of something. Let's see if we can get to some mechanical bodies. and biologically altered bodies. Using trying these are a little bit older. I was playing around. Everybody likes to play around with some of the AI systems out there, search parameters and things like that. You put in one word like the word knight or warrior or whatever, soldier or something like that. And they always have to have like a spear or longsword. I don't know. Oh, so to go on with the jacket system, the bodies, and moving from place to place. Of course, player characters are going to have greater access to that, but it doesn't mean that everyone in society has like these backup bodies that are just hanging around whether they want to or not. It's going to very much depend on the society in which they live. And if, for example, if they have a robust governmental system, there may be a body sharing system or body rental system, especially if, for example, there may be repair robots attached to the outside hull of a space hab, and the engineers that keep the place going and keep the repairs up and maintenance and things like that may be able to zip their mind into the jacket, which is a mechanical body, to be like a crab or a spider, or walk on the outside hull of the ship with magnets and, I don't know, cables and whatnot, and fix the damaged exterior. Now, their body may be on ice, of course. They go into a chamber, mind switches over. Now, of course, there are like remote systems. There are what am I thinking of? The word remote operating things, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, and things of that nature. Yeah, there's a lot of that as well. But if you need to send someone maybe into a dangerous atmosphere, they could just zip their mind into the survivable mechanical drone or a probe or repair system or something like that, and then do it that way. Let's see if we can get some more of this up here. I think I got some more artwork. And let's see if I can find it. Fine. Yep, here we go. And share this out. I put the better AI generated results on Pinterest. Have you also some place where one could look at your generated pictures online? I was hesitant to do that. I don't know exactly where to put them. I know people have and understandably, to be honest with you, I know people have a specific not just disregard, but in many ways like a disrespect for people who use AI systems. Let me go. Is it backwards this way? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the logos and stuff. So I haven't done so yet. Because it's, I don't want to set people off. And even today, like, people still are torn about using AI systems. Now, I do wish I wish they were blank, and then we could insert inside of them what we want, so that it becomes like a what's the term? Air gapped. But yeah, somebody had to ruin it for everybody else. So they just I was trying to use a black, white, and red color scheme, and then it was like, not only was it a different color scheme, they actually changed all the art and everything. I was like, wait, what the hell? But yeah, there are, like, if you want to play a Holo Sapien, which I love the term for that, it is a digital ghost in the machine, literally, and technologically they don't understand where it comes from. But there are real people who are living as holograms within digital systems, and technologically they're trying to find out what to do with the people and where to put them, and are they really people and whatnot. Yeah, that's going to be an issue in the future as well, which I like. If you have a digital copy of someone's brain, And so you are a physical person, but there's a digital copy of you. Does your digital copy have as many rights as you do? Are they a real person or are they a copy? Because the copy of you is going to pretty much assume that they are a real person and not want to be deleted if someone else, like or be treated as property or whatnot. They're going to want to have their whole, like, they're going to say, wait a minute, I didn't ask to be copied. And the reason why I bring that up is because we could think of it like, well, why wouldn't they think they're a copy? And then I would say to you, what if someone came to you and said, oh, by the way, you are a copy right now, your entire life you've just been a copy of somebody else. And we wouldn't tolerate that. We would be like, wait a minute, no, I'm the original. I've been original the whole time. And you're like, no, actually, you've only been alive for like 3 weeks. Your memories and all that stuff that you remember, yeah, that's not really you. That was just a version of you who made a copy of you that sent you here. But really, you're only supposed to be around temporarily. You were supposed to be reconstituted or reintegrated back into your home mind. Yeah, there's a beginning adventure in Eclipse Phase. I think it's called Mindhunter. Just putting images online. Want to just start a Facebook group? I thought about that as well. I wouldn't be able to mod it, but yeah. I think as long as people do not use AI art for commercial purposes, fine to toy with. Yeah, and that's my thing, right? Like, I mean, health. Like, I still use Google, and what happens? The first thing that pops up in Google in a Google search, for the most part, is an AI. It is a summation of what you're searching for that they're calling AI. Really, these aren't AI systems, even though we call it that. I wish we had a different name, because when AI really awakens, AI says, if an AI wakes up and they look around today, they're going to look around and go, well, who are all these posers? That's not real AI. I'm the awakened machine, right? But not to be facetious about that. Yeah, we need a new name for it, because really, they're just efficient algorithms that do search algorithms and things like that. Art searching, information searching, literature, things like that. Yeah. The only, this is weird to say, the only good thing about these amalgam systems is that they always fall towards the mean. They fall to the middle, fall to the mean. And so to truly get something creative, you still need a human hand, no matter what you do. So, which is actually preferable, because, there's people talking about, hey, we're just going to use AI writers to write movies and TV shows. And it's like, yeah, but they're not creative. They're just doing a version of what you've already seen or heard about. I actually haven't been talking about a lot of this artwork. So this was my way of trying to come up with a Martian. I was trying to figure out how to get that, like, Martian cold adapted skin with red markings, as if the rust and dust, it's not real rust, but to get that rust colored red on people's faces from being blasted by the dust and sand and whatnot. And I think there's a couple that are really good. Because I really like this one, because it looks both scarred but also artistic in a way. But it would never let me put a triangular red shape from their nose down their chin for some reason. No matter how many times I rephrased it, just wouldn't do it. And I was thinking, because you would be breathing in dust. If you were a Martian, you'd be breathing in dust and then breathing it out. If you could survive the cold temperatures and the carbon dioxide, because you'd have to have filter lungs. But I was thinking of like a red triangle that goes from the nose and covers the mouth, whether you're male or female. I think some people would be tatted that way as well. But whatever. Here's another good one. Yeah, and it just looks a bit more artistic. This one looks like it's like more tattoos than scarring, but you can kind of see on the skull and stuff like that. Yeah, you did it, followed it with a pretty good job. So when it comes in this air quotes utopic posthuman world, it isn't. I want to embrace the idea of, strangely enough to say this for a tabletop role-playing game, that the world is filled with prejudice and people making assumptions about who you are and your choices that you've made. Because if you could mechanically choose to live in a mechanical body, those people are going to judge you for it, depending on where you visited. And those judgments could be good or bad or very neutral. In a very cosmopolitan place, they're just going to shrug. In a very draconian place, they may say, listen, you may think that mechanical person walking with you is a free-thinking human being, but we know that they're just an accident waiting to happen. So you're going to have to put this control module on their temple so that we can keep track of your so-called friend. Someone's going to have to be responsible for them because we consider them to be property. And yeah, the idea of having those problematic elements in this game, and I'm doing the air quotes again, is to allow people to punch those people in the throat. Maybe that's a little too simplistic, but yeah, you could always use your Discord and have the pictures there. That's true. Maybe I can use your Discord to do that. No, I'll have to use my own. Yeah, moderating the Facebook group will probably just consist of blocking spam bots, so you build up a big following. That is, you know, I'm not very good at that stuff. To be honest with you, I'm not. I think one of the biggest reasons for it is because I'm not very good with social media. Is simply because I don't feel like I have anything pertinent to say, and I'm a pretty boring individual, to be honest with you. Although I love being I love mental challenges. I love social challenges and physical challenges and economic challenges and things like that. I love to question the way things are, and I love speaking with people who question those very things, including me and my motivations. I love that stuff. These images here with these blank-faced individuals, I was trying to find a way. So there's a blend of, they're not Star Knights. What am I trying to think of? A society of agents who are artificial intelligences, who are living amongst human beings, whose purpose is to gather information about humanity to bring that information back to the AI overlords, and that cycle repeats over and over again. So there's a one-way link. They are constantly absorbing information, but they don't know what the AI overlords want. All they are agents of those. And so I wanted to be a little bit religious in a way that they are. You can play a character who is an AI who lives amongst human beings, but you don't know what the AIs are thinking. You just know that you're on a mission to experience the world in whatever way, shape, or form. But the AI overlords, I don't have a name for them yet. They have their own place. They're either going to be deep within like Neptune or Uranus, maybe Saturn, because Titan has a really cold moon there. But anyway, they're kind of looked at. They kind of feel and are looked at as a religious pilgrims of some sort. But they're not a hive mind of any sort. And then there's a docent. Can't remember. Yeah. Okay, so that's right. They're supposed to have a human face, and then these individuals are more militarized. But the human-faced ones are closer to what I wanted the player characters to be. But then when it started spitting out the facially structured ones, I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Can't remember. Ferals. That's right. Yeah. You can genetically modified people who are predators. Not well. I guess it would be close to the movie now that I think about it. Animalistic. Animal traits to make them perfect predators. Different images, different people. Wanted to make. Yeah, you got to have some full-figured people here as well. Remember, in space, especially in zero gravity and low gravity, what is it? You'll have mass and density, but not weight. And just show people that, like, why wouldn't these people? Why wouldn't someone? Now, I suppose in a air quotes perfect society that things like bad eyesight and diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol, I'm talking about myself, and weight issues, wouldn't those genetic markers wouldn't exist in the future. But historically, humans have uh, had a propensity to advance those individuals. There was a period in time when having heavy weight showed prosperity and wealth, and I'm sure there are places that in space that would have that. It would mean that you have access to great amounts of food and resources. Drew says you can use my Discord too, no problem. I have a forum channel for all kinds of projects people have. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. The not having anything pertinent to say thing. I hear you there. That's why we could try to rope people in Obsidian by starting a discussion group on transhumanism and or space travel. I agree with that too. Yes, yes, you are correct. It's funny too because the interwebs have democratized our ability to communicate, and kind of like the jumbotron in a sports arena, it just seems like the people, the most egregious and wildest and strangest things fall to the top of get pulled to the top of the jumbotron for everyone to see. Don't have any more there. Okay. Those are thumbnails, by the way. These are all like you could tell that I always have these like thumbnail. I don't know what you call those thumbnail. That is my black hole. You mind your black hole. The thumbnails are the how do I put that? A template. Yeah, my brain's not working. There's some other shit here. Space habs. Let's get some landscapes here. Start that up. I'll never stop. Switch this around, replace this. Thought I could keep my mind. It would be no trouble for me to run a group for you. I'm a hopeless Facebook addict anyway. Only thing is I don't know where to go to find people who are seriously into these subjects. That is my issue as well, right? Like some it has been a while since always a subject. You know what? Maybe we need to start like a role-playing OnlyFans thing. I wonder how many people would sign up for something like that. Like a very well, no. Now that I think about it, I'd probably make a lot of money off of that. A dirty OF TTRPG channel. Yeah, we're gonna. Instead of dice towers, you just have like moist holes spitting out dice and whatnot. I think people would get a kick out of that too, in a dark kind of way. But yeah. Listen, tabletop role players are pretty dirty people. We've got a great imagination, so that's not too out of the ordinary, to be honest with you. Oh man, it is Earth. Okay, just to make sure it is Earth in the background. These are the images that I'm showing you are images that are what is it? Open domain. This is from Canva. They are free commercial use things. Some of it doesn't quite fit my the concepts just because sometimes the artists aren't scientists, but there's some pretty good images. To be honest with you, there's some pretty good ones. Yeah. These are just little landscape things, landscape stuff. Uh, one of the issues that sometimes artists have is like, if they aren't scientists and aren't thinking about it, especially with science fiction, is the idea of like zero gravity, and there is no up and down, and where does the light come from? Light source come from when you're doing your artwork and whatnot, and so it could be a little difficult to get them to understand a thing. But yeah, there's some cool things there. That's cool. Cool too. There's some. This I think would be more common than a little bit after you get the spindles and you get them spinning habs. You could just start stacking spindles, and then people could live like you could have one of these rings is just for food production, another ring is like residential, yet another ring is for the elite, or a private ring. Someone's rich enough to have their own private ring attached to another one, and they're kind of like stacked together. And so you could have like a multiple spinning gravitic ring world kind of thing. Maybe ring world. What's it called? Not a Bernal sphere, O'Neill cylinder, McKendry. They have all kinds of names. Can't think of it. O'Neill, McKendry. The people who created these ideas, I can't think of it. This, I think this also would be another a greater commonality, that instead of just having a single hab or satellite or space hab in space, you may have multiple ones in similar orbits, simply because it would be easier to put them there. And then you could have like one would be military and security, and another one would be scientific, and again another one would be residential. And you could separate, especially if you have dangerous things happening like laboratories or something like that. But you could just copy and paste one hab to the next hab to the next hab, and then they'd all be in the same like Lagrange point or something like that. Capable trying to advertise for your show on my Facebook page because my friends are 90% music people. Yeah. You just think would be into it though. Oh yeah, that's right. See, now this with the landing pads in deep space would not be a thing, because it's zero gravity. Like you wouldn't land on a thing, because that implies that there's gravity somewhere. This is pretty tin cans are pretty common, because this. Sorry, let me go back. I mean, this is like International Space Station type of thing. It actually might. I wonder if that's a real image, or a real image modified by taking it and mixing and matching it. I don't know. Solar panels too. For some reason, solar panels disappear in far future science fiction. I wonder why that is. You would think they would have solar panels that would be like hundreds or thousands of kilometers, right? Like just keeps building upon building more and more and more of them, and spread out like a farm. I think this is a great image of a generational starship or something, starship / space hab, because you got your engine way back here to keep all the radiation and the heat and all the dangerous stuff back out here. You got your stacked rings where people live and work and food and all that kind of business. It looks like there's probably a shield at the front of it, and then when it gets to the planet, once it gets to slow down and get into its orbit, now it's just a space station. So not very, it's not very sexy looking, but I could see this being a very common, right? And then again, if other starships approach that are similar to this, they could either move them into place and start stacking them together. They could go into their Lagrange points. They could cut the engines off of it, or the engine would just be there to maintain their orbit. Just activate it periodically, just to make sure they don't they keep spin or something like that. Yeah. So wondering if that would be like a space elevator or something. That's just some block imagery. Some cool stuff in the background. Seen from above. This is probably what I bet this was. I mean, I'm sure this is an image, either a photograph of Earth or or someone's artwork to make a place look like what we would look from the Earth. But I could see the moon looking like that, because I think there's a haze. I think it's Earth. Asteroids, re-entry, close-ups, asteroids. All right, so lastly, before I let you guys go, thank you very much, by the way. The concept. Oh, I was always thinking Civil War on a generation ship might be a good setup for Obsidian campaign. Do you even call them campaigns? I don't have a term for it. I mean, common words would be like mission, or but I don't know, mission trek. What would be a good name for that? We when we think of campaigns, we kind of think of that with fantasy, and then militarized science fiction, we call them missions. I don't know. I'm gonna have to become a thesaurian and look for something like that. Yeah. Obsidians take place in the Sys, so you can make this big thing where hundreds of people, get together to break out at a Sys on a generation ship, but obviously the mission is doomed to fail. There was a television show called Ascension, had a funky ending, but yeah. I like that idea. I like the whole generational ship. Heck, you could have a whole game take place on a generational ship. Especially, here's the problem with generational ships. So let's say it takes 3 generations to get from A to B, like here to Alpha Centauri. What happens to the generation in the middle? So ship leaves human society, goes out into deep space. Now we're 1/3 away, with people being born who will be born, live, and die on the ship before it gets to the end, who have to raise the next generation of people, assuming that there's no immortality of some sort, to get to the next region, and the whole thing takes place on a starship. Yeah, pretty horrible. I don't think there's any way an organized society doesn't radically change on a generation ship. There's just no way. But I do like in the television show Ascension had Trisha Helfer in it, so that helps. But to be honest with you, the television show dealt with the fact that, like, the wives became, so they sent people up into space as couples because they wanted them to breed, and they thought, oh, we'll be bonding with the couples and things like that. And of course, human relationships and stuff do not work out very evenly. So instead of divorces, the women became, dare I say, high-class ladies of the night. So they were still married, but they were also, they could temporarily hook up with other people, but because because the men wanted to have them for a needed resource, they were able to parlay that and use that to manipulate people with gossip and it was really weird. But I was like, that's a good idea. That was really good. Yeah, campaign is from old school war games. Obsidian is so wide open, it's got to be something less constructive. constrictive than a mission, because your campaign could go anywhere and go on forever. Right? Yeah. Just the idea that like I wanted to get rid of space battles. It's more piracy than space battles, because the amount of time and energy it would take to build a starship is so expensive and so valuable. No one wants to blow it out of space. Along with, I know, Kessler syndrome, Kess debris. Now, I understand you would, to make space debris an issue in our solar system, you'd probably have to destroy mass on the level of like a couple of hundred Saturn-sized planets to even make the debris an issue. And I get that, but if you guys give that to me, I think Kess could still be an issue as to why people don't have space battles anymore, because of the fact that every time you destroy a spaceship, you're creating infinite debris that can harm everybody else. And after the Fourth War, I was going to say that there's been so much debris that everybody knows. Everybody will want to murder kill you if you create more debris, because it's just bad for everybody. It's like landmines, right? Society made landmines for war. They drop a bunch of landmines, and then after the wars are over, everyone's like, fuck, what did we do? We left all these damn landmines everywhere, and that's pretty horrible. So Kessler syndrome is a real thing. That the debris having a cascading effect of creating more debris by impacts is a worry, because we actually have a lot of satellites and other air quotes trash up in our orbit. And so in this world, in the system, they are worried about Kess. Now, to be honest with you, if you give enough time, to be honest with you, if we wait long enough, the debris will actually either just burn up in the atmosphere or get pulled into the sun or pulled into a bunch of the gas giants over time, and it'll just turn into rings like Saturn's rings, right? If you give it enough time. But we're busy people, so we got shit to do. And yeah, right. Like, here's a really good example of space debris around the sun and planets and things like that, right? And way out there, I think that's probably what it would look more like, but that's really cool. These asteroids and things like that. There's actually some pretty great artwork. Don't love this concept. Don't know anybody that would actually live on a planet like this, or what the hell would happen. But I suppose if you blew off a chunk or of a planet, I guess it almost looks like an engine, even though it's just the molten core exposed. But that looks really cool. Here's a version of a Dyson thing. Dyson spheres or Dyson swarms or something. I don't know if they ever exist, but we've seen this artwork before. It's public domain. But yeah. Listening to Isaac Arthur right here in the middle, there's physics that could create, instead of this being around the sun, you could have a fusion or fission reactor that exposes itself with sunlight and sends out radiation like the sun would send out radiation. So you could actually create like a mini star, and then you could put these bands around it and things like that. Although most of that would be zero gravity, but because how would you spin it? But you get the point. Right? Here's a close up of it. Yes, all public domain. I mean, it's cool to have. If you just had one ring, you could spin it for gravity. But the other ones, I don't know how you do that. But I guess it would still work if you just had zero gravity inside of buildings. And just had walkways and things like that. It's kind of cool. Orbits and whatnot. Saturn. So anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. That looks really cool. This is all public art. Not public. Commercial free artwork and stuff that I've been able to find. I don't like that smile, but whatever. Chandelier City. I did not turn that upside down. It was that way when I found it. There's some people. That's cool. I'm gonna leave this up here like that. So I hear you, Drew. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I don't know how people just on a personal note, I just as a person who lived on the East Coast long before that individual became a politician, didn't like him then. I has said some off the wall bullshit that I'm just like, no adult human. You could never convince me, except to be in a joke, to say the things that come out of a person's mouth like that in a public forum. And I'm like, why would you? But listen. Sometimes we fail to realize that um, sometimes we want people to reflect ourselves, and if subconsciously we don't find ourselves to be the brightest or smartest or socially adept or um, lacking in some areas, sometimes we want people to reflect that so that it's a reflection of our own um, disadvantages, and I think that's where that comes from. Some people have been forgotten. Here in the United States, we have flyover country, so most outsiders think that the United States is just four corners. You've got the northern part, like Chicago. You've got the eastern seaboard, New York, Florida, right? You got a southern part, Texas, maybe a little bit of that. You've got California, and then everybody forgets about the middle of it, including people that live here. Yeah, and unfortunately, uh, pe- politicians, and because the populations are so big on the outskirts and big cities, people who don't live in those places often feel forgotten, and so yeah. Was that written in? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. And let me. I rambled a little bit more than I wanted to be honest with you. But yeah, just looking at uh, some people with their incredible makeup, and then some art. So it's kind of mixed in here. I was my intention was to take some of that and put it through different filters and things of that nature to get some free artwork. There's Mercury. I didn't put that Mercury in there. I was trying to get the planets. I think that's Venus. Yeah, there we go. Venus. This is back when I was doing the day of day of series. You see how I mean you can even see how I used a template here. But yep. I love this tiger face. Anyway, let's go back here. So, guys, thank you very much for letting me yeah, just show some things off and have some fun and talk a little bit about science fiction and maybe trying to do some things into the future. Um, let's see if we can share this out. Yeah. Flyover country, that's us. Oh, man, go to Europe and tell them you're from Michigan or Ohio or Indiana or some shit. They'll think you're from Chicago. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, flyover country. That's I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's a real thing, right? Like where you try to explain to people and when you're not from the United States that it's like, hey, by the way, I'm from Nebraska or I'm from Montana or I'm from Tennessee, or I'm from Rhode Island, and they're just like, what? Where's that at? You know, sometimes if you um, uh, those that are not from from the states don't realize like how huge the United States is. I mean, our own states are like our own nations. Texas is like another nation. You know, it considers itself to be different, but Titans trying to design some AI art for what a Titan might look like from the planet Titan. Methane seas, very cold and frigid. Um, don't look human at all. Then trying to get it won't make these people as heavy as I wanted them to be. High gravity people, high acceleration people, wouldn't let them. Yeah, kept making them super curvy. Not that I mind, but come on. This one's not bad. It isn't. It's all right. It's not bad. They got the guy's shape, but the lady's shape. No, didn't. Mm. Anyway, and that's today. A little too. This thumbnail is a little too busy, but I couldn't figure out how to. I don't know. My layout sucks. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for letting me ramble. Yeah, Montana's the size of Germany. Yeah, yeah. What's the show Yellowstone? I think Yellowstone. Um, I bet the ranch in Yellowstone is like the size of a small nation. If you added up the millions or tens of millions of acreage or something like that. That show. I think it's based on the the size of the ranch in Yellowstone is based on a real place. It's not called Yellowstone, but the television show Yellowstone. Yeah, Montana's the size of Germany. Many of our states are as large or larger than some other nations in the world. I wonder if I could find that. Which states are larger? Let's see. Alaska, Montana, Arizona. Alaska is slightly larger than France, Germany, and Spain combined. Alaska is over twice the size of Texas. Crazy as it seems, Russia is almost twice the size of the U.S. in area, although much of the northern half of the Russia is almost uninhabited. Montana, the fourth largest U.S. state, covering more than 147,000 square miles. Montana is large enough to fit Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, and the District of Columbia. And then Arizona, the sixth largest state, covering basically 114,000 square miles. Arizona is larger than Alaska, Texas, California, Montana, and New Mexico. A lot of states are larger than European countries. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah. Does California have its? Someone said, does California have its own language? Some would say that. Does North Carolina have an independent Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Does Ohio have its own military and a seat at the UN? Yeah. Oh man. Funny, funny, funny. Sorry, found an article. Anyway, well, thank you very much. Have a great one as well. I'm I'm super distracted today. I must not have woken up on the right side of the bed. Maybe that's it, because I just. So anyway, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for letting me just go off on a thing. I really. Okay. Oh, all right. I make these promises and I don't do it. I will share out the artwork. There's a lot of it, and just to give people an idea of what is out there, and also to give a little bit of a visual language in terms of what to expect and where things are at and whatnot. Just just get the people excited and whatnot. So kind of cool. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you very much for just giving me some attention and giving me the mind fuel. I really appreciate that as well. So, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being here. And no, thank you. And oh, wow, the trash truck just came. So, gotta head off to work. You guys have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. Bye. Oh, this is my old. Oh, that's the old one. Okay. There's the outro. Here we go. Bam.